producer and actor on this film. Usually it's the filmmaker who's here, but Marco is only going to be able to join us after for a Q&A. I want to thank my beautiful producers and our distributor who's putting the film into the world. I always say that every independent film is a miracle by itself, and this one was a very beautiful one. There's a love story behind this love story that I'm happy to share with you after the Q&A. High Tide is a film about belonging to a place, to a person, or to yourself. So open your hearts and enjoy the film. I'll see you after.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Jessica Shaw. I should introduce you rock stars. What a treat to get to be here to moderate this event. I know you know them, but I want to welcome Marco Calvani, writer, producer, director, Marco Pigossi James Bland.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you all so much for being here. Marco, I want to start with you. Tell us the origin of this. You started writing this during COVID, which is so interesting to me because I feel like the themes of community and loneliness, which is something that we all thought about a lot during that time, are so present in this film.
Well, it is something that, first of all, really thank you for being here tonight. I didn't have much to do in 2020, like many of us, and I almost didn't have a place to be. I was living in New York at that time, and I don't know, everything felt really blurry. And the past, the present, the future, and I don't know, I just felt that I was given the opportunity to reflect on things in a different way. And that coincided with the need of living where I was staying, and I was gifted with a place to be in Provincetown for a couple of weeks, and I ended up staying for 6 months. The community you're talking about, and that is something that I could have never gifted myself with, like the possibility of saying yes to such an opportunity if it was in 2020, and if I wasn't kinder to myself. So I was given really the time and the space to reflect on things differently, to go deeper within me, to push the boundaries also of my own comfort zones. And I don't know, I started to write these stories that definitely was inspired also by the community and the place that I was, what I was at that time. Originally, this story was really, it was actually happening in LA. I was like, for some weird reason, which is a place where I ended up living after Provincetown. The origin was, for some weird reason, I was invited by some voices outside of me to write a story, the first queer story I've ever written in my life. Being a gay man all my life, but I never really put queer characters at the center of my stories. And I've written many plays, and so I was like, okay, you have to do this. And that was it. And then I put it first in LA, I arrived in Provincetown, I was like, this story is happening here. There was so much that this place was telling me about the experience of being in a limbo. The place itself is at the end of it all. It's really high. It is, it's, I don't know if you've been here in the audience, if you've ever been in Provincetown, but it's really physically, geographically is at the end of a peninsula that looks to Boston. It's really difficult to be there, to go there. Sometimes it's very difficult to live there. Like it's very hard to leave that feeling of, it's just so, it's a beautiful bubble, yes. I didn't want to quote myself, but since they do. Yeah.
And Marco, tell us, what was it about Lorenzo that spoke to you? And I know that there are, I mean, that you felt a real connection to him and to things that he goes through in the film.
We worked together on the script for almost 2 years, in a way, right? Of trying to find this character, understand this character. This all became, and I said there was a love story behind, but when we met for the first time, we talked a lot about this process of accepting yourself, finding yourself, embracing yourself as a gay man in the world. And I have a very specific story. I've been in the closet my whole life, publicly, because I was very well known in Brazil since I was young, and there was all this pressure. So for me, it was very specific. And we talked a lot about this the first time we met. And I mentioned to him, I said, I want to talk about this through my art one day. You know, I produced a documentary about this, but now I wanted to do something. And a month later,
I don't leave anything unnoticed. Notes immediately.
A month later, he hands me the script, and you know, the first page is the poem that's one of my favorite poems in Brazil. So there was a lot of talk that he was getting information and ideas for Lorenzo. So yeah, I have a lot of connections. It's a very deep personal character in a sense. It's not biographical or anything, but it's very, very personal to me. Yeah.
And James, we were just talking outside, and you were saying about one of the reasons you wanted to do this film, and I was wondering if you could share that.
Yeah, so, hey guys. For me as a gay black man, it's not often that I really get to see myself or versions of myself on screen. And so for me, reading the script and meeting Maurice on the page, I was like, I see glimmers and pockets of James, and that doesn't happen, that often. But like in particular, I was really drawn to the fact that Marco Calvani, as a writer, didn't shy away from the race aspect between these two characters, because oftentimes, and this is a critique of Hollywood, that we see, we rarely get to see black love on film. When it comes to gay characters, it's often a black male who is paired with a white or non-black, love interest, and then they go throughout the story as if race isn't a thing. But that wasn't the case with this film. They actually addressed it, because at the end of the day, it does come up in your experience. You're still going through the world who doesn't recognize race. And so the fact that that existed in the script and it was handled in a way that was nuanced, but also honest, was one of the things I said, I really want to play this character, because also coming out of 2020 and we were going through this racial reckoning in America, these were conversations that I was having with my friends in terms of how we felt. And then I also had been to Provincetown even before doing this film, and when people would ask me how was P-Town, one of the first things I would say is, oh, it's very white. Because that is my experience as a black person, in this town. And so, although it's beautiful and it's welcoming, in no way did I feel any prejudice, or if I felt very welcome in this place, but my observation is this is a very white space. And I'm so happy that Marco addressed that in this film. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just tapping into what he was saying. I mean, I feel personally it's almost a duty to take in everything that the world is giving you, right? As a writer, especially, you have to observe the reality you live in. And at that time, there were conversations that we were having all the time with friends, with dates also. Like it was 2020, not only the pandemic, but it was also the Black Lives Matter. It was a time where we were really having these conversations, and I could sense. That's why I also placed it in Provincetown, because I could sense that there was something behind the beautiful surface, the beautiful landscape, the beautiful feelings, the beautiful intentions. I could sense that there was it is a privileged place, right? And there were questions and themes that I was my mind, my brain, like I was really deep into. As an immigrant, also at that time it was really probably the first time that I came, I was put in front of certain questions. The systemic racism in this country, and it's something that is completely different in my own, for example. So when I was writing this love story, I was like, oh, I think this also needs to be, the story needs to be informed by this. And then, so it was, I'm trying also to answer your first question, that it was kind of the process that was flowing with my own experience and the experience of all the people that were around me.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about the film is that the gay community in P-Town is never portrayed as this monolithic thing. People, there are people from different generations there. There are people who came there for different reasons. People, working there, visiting there, and the ways that people have their individual experiences and the ways that they find community are so varied throughout, and at times, like, Maurice could feel, he has his community there, and then he can be made to feel like he's not part of a community. And those two things, happen in different ways for the different characters, in a way that I thought was really powerful, because as a writer and a director, you never get the sense that you're passing judgment on it, you're presenting it.
Yeah, I guess that's the way I like also to
And that's
write.
That's how they connect. They connect to this place of not belonging, of not feeling part of anything. And even though they are in Provincetown, and Provincetown gives you that experience of being a majority for the first time in your life instead of a minority, and that might seem silly, but it's a very, very powerful feeling. But they don't belong there somehow. They feel outsiders, and that's where they bond in this place of longing.
Yeah. Was the chemistry there immediately with the two of you? Because it is so I'm like, get to that ferry. It's just so beautiful, and it's so there. So tell me about that. Did you?
I don't want to hear.
We'll talk about your chemistry after.
I would say yes, right? Nothing was difficult with Marco throughout this entire process. I feel like we did not meet before shooting the film. We arrived, a few days before production?
Not even.
A week? Was it a week?
5 days, I guess.
I guess like 5 days, and so we jumped into rehearsals. And
I have to say, we shot this in 17 days with 3.5 days of rehearsals. Sorry, I had to say this.
I think I'm the luckiest actor in the world to have had James by my side on this experience. It was, since the beginning, he was so kind and so generous as an actor, trying to find together the character. We're talking about it and open. We're there, we're exposed. There's a lot of intimate scenes, and we were also discovering, our touch, our bodies, our way of acting, everything. So
I felt completely comfortable, and I've done just a few sex scenes, and every other sex or intimate sex scenes that I've ever done, it was always a bit of awkwardness, or there were moments where I didn't quite believe it, but I can say this set was incredibly comfortable, where I found myself being like, whoa, I think I'm feeling this. This is and I feel like and I'm just being honest, that's always a great test for an actor, because you walk away from it, and you have to. I was there. Married, by the way. Anybody does not know. But you know how it is. We're actors on it. You walk away from a scene, and you ask yourself, did I believe that? Did I really feel anything in my body? And I was like, well, I'm feeling some things. This is good.
First with Marco and then with Maurice, for me, this story it comes from me, but it's not me. I'm not Lorenzo. I have a completely different background, completely different experiences, even the experiences in Provincetown. Same with Maurice, for even more obvious reasons. But we've been talking about things in a very, if you want, in a very general way, right? But I really feel that the movie is also very specific. Like, it is not the story of whole Provincetown. It is not the story of everybody who goes to Provincetown. It's really the story of an immigrant who can be as pretty as he wants, but he doesn't have the paper. He's in a huge limbo emotionally. And an African American man who feels that he doesn't belong in the place that he wants. So they're both trying to find a place to call home. And it's very specific, this experience. And I think when I met them, first Marco and then James, they were bringing that specificity. And it's a specificity in the soul that you can't really describe. And of course, with Marco, there was a whole different kind of connection. But I remember that I kind of fell in love with James too when we had that Zoom 2020. I mean, they still do. We still cast on Zoom, I have to say. But I really had those butterflies in. Like I was in front of the actor I wrote the character for. It was Maurice. It was bringing that specificity of emotional sensitivity, of experience. And then, of course, it was a moment. So it was 3 days of rehearsals. You can really count the hours. It's not like 3 days you spent like from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. rehearsing. It was really a handful of hours, but it was kind of immediate. The way you just both dive into the script and into each other.
Now let's talk about your chemistry. Like, what was the moment that you're like, okay, I'm in love?
Whoa. I know exactly when it happened. It was our. Really, does this? It was kind of our. It was our second date, but it was really the first one that was more meaningful in terms of conversation, of time, or presence for each other, listening, and it was at the beach. And I remember after an hour and a half that we were together, I felt such a level of I don't know. There was again presence and caring, and oh my God, I never felt. I've had many relationships. I never felt such a comfort. There was a sense of safety, and the time didn't have. It wasn't defined anymore. The beach disappeared. It was really that feeling that they try to, put into words. And I'm trying to put into words even now. It was that day, right? It was the beach.
Yeah, but like again, this film has so many synchronicities that make it happen. And when I say that independent film is a miracle by itself, it's true. But this one was specifically, we met, we talk about this, we write. We fall in love exactly at the location where we shot. So Lorenzo's cottage is where we got to meet each other, and
that's where I was living.
Yeah, that's where he wrote the script, and that's where we shot. And then we meet our beautiful producer who had just recently moved to Provincetown, and we're looking to do something there. And then after the film, we get married there. So there's a lot of engaged. Well, engaged. The proposal was there. Anyway, there was a lot of love during this process. That it was just so beautiful. It's one of those projects that happens once in a lifetime where it really takes over your life, and it's a part of everything.
Yeah, but it honestly taught me that I cannot work any other way. Yeah. I can't work in an environment, for example, on a set that is driven by ego and greediness, and you don't create anything that's meaningful, and heartfelt. At least you don't go back home fulfilled. And there's somebody, a friend of ours, who just recently we were talking about, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I think it was about work and the results and probably, whatever, something about the results of something. And he said, what people will remember is the people. It's not. You won't remember the numbers, the awards, how much time you spend. It's the people that you met along the way. It's the people that you connected with during an experience. So in this case, it was really somehow the people inform the experience, and then all along the way until the very end, and here we are still.
Yeah, I mean, the location on top of this love story that is so, and this story of figuring out who you are, and it's so beautiful to watch, and then the backdrop is so beautiful, and you were able to film in places in Provincetown that other filmmakers haven't, right?
So we actually with Pete, our producer, my gosh, it was the most exciting and pre-production time ever, because I mean, not that I have many experiences but he did, but we really, the only way you could shoot a movie like this in Provincetown is to have Provincetown on your side. So we really, the pre-production wasn't just scouting, it was like becoming friends with everybody. It was just the only way, but it wasn't like, we weren't doing it like to get something from them. We were actually trying to really involve them and to create something together. And we even got to shoot in the marshes, which is, how do you say, national seashore. So no crew is allowed, I mean, the things that are allowed there. But no film crew ever was allowed to walk there. So we need that. No, it really, we got, and everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be impossible to get the permits in time. And we started like 2 months before, and we got them. I don't know if we charmed them the right way, but we didn't even meet them in person, the people of the permits. I don't know, we were blessed.
Yeah.
What can I say? But, I don't know, whatever.
I know we just have like a couple minutes left. I also want to give a shout out to Marissa Tomei and Maya Taylor, who are both so wonderful too.
And we were Erwin, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and just to how much like the entire cast, how perfectly cast everyone is, and just the different connections in the different you know working friend groups, whatever it is, and the way that they all worked and came together was really lovely.
That's totally Marco's. He's an actor, has a training as an actor, so he knows the craft of the actor. He likes to direct actors, and that's everything we need when we're doing a film like this.
So, yeah, you can have the most beautiful script, you can have the most beautiful locations, but if you don't have the performances, what do you, I mean, yeah, you can feel the eyes of the audience, but I want to remember the people, you know, the journey is, and I love actors.
Yeah. James, were you going to say something?
No, I just agree.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a beautiful experience as an actor when you work with a director who can speak the actor's language. You know, because sometimes directors can speak in a very technical, type of a way, but at the end of the day, we're trying to get to an emotion and a feeling, and this guy feels so much. And I'll just say this, one of my favorite experiences about this film was just showing up to set and seeing the excitement on Marco's face every day. He has this face that he makes. Can you do it? Really? That face.
Guys, making a film is a miracle. And you can only survive if you fill yourself with gratitude every single day, and you say hi to everyone who shows up every single day to do what you ask them to do.
4:30 a.m.
Yes.
That's love.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to the extent that every film stays with you a little bit or a lot, what was it like walking away from this story in particular, walking away from these characters in particular that you connected with?
For me, it almost feels as if I have not walked away, because I gained a family, you know, in doing this film, from the writer-director, my star here, the producers, the folks at LD Entertainment. Although, you know, Maurice, I guess, story in a way has ended, because I still get to stay with the people, like Marco said, it's the people. And so you kind of feel like, I don't know, it just hasn't ended in a way. The love story continues, just in another way.
Yeah, it's a very curious thing for an actor, right? Because we leave there, we do there, and then it's out of our hands. We don't have any power or any. It's gone. You have to let it go. You have to just trust the process and let it go. And again, the people stay, but I think every character leaves something with me. I've learned a lot from Lorenzo, and from myself also as an actor and as a person, as an artist and as a human being. And there's a lot of me there in Lorenzo. So I think it's just all one thing. You know, like James said, you never really leave or get out. It's always going to be here somewhere.
What can I say? I'm working now with a lot of mothers, and I hear them talking about their kids that they just went to college for the first time, and I'm like, I hear like this, their experience, like I don't know what they're talking about, and I was like, wait a minute, because they're very happy for them, but at the same time they're heartbroken, and I was like, oh, that's actually what I'm feeling. I'm learning to let go and let it have his own journey with you all. But it's still, but I love it. I'm very proud of it. And with all his defects, but I just made the film I wanted to do, and I don't know. It's teaching me a lot. I met wonderful people. It never ends in a way, but it's over and different,
Well, it's your baby's out there in the world,
yes,
for sure.
It's
And-
your hands
yes,
now, yeah.
And the reviews have been extraordinary, and I'm looking forward to seeing Marco in front of the camera in the Four Seasons with, I don't know, no biggie, Coleman Domingo, Steve Carell, Tina Fey. So very much looking forward to that, and also what you do as a writer and director going forward, and you as just extraordinary actors and writers and everything, and producers and everything else. I want to thank you all so much for coming, and I want to thank James Bland, Marco Pigossi, Marco Calvani so much for joining me. It's such a special movie, and enjoy your baby.
Thank you. Enjoy it.